Welcome to the Fandom Outpost, your podcast for all things pop culture.
Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of the Fandom Outpost. As always, I'm 1/3 your host. My name is Mark.
I'm Jim.
And I'm Bob. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. We got a cool episode today. But before we get to that, I just want to help remind you to please like and subscribe if you like this video and like some of our others. You can subscribe to us. We'd really appreciate that. Check us out on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. And join the conversation on all the stuff that we goof around with. And I also had a special announcement for a fan of the month. I just wanted to mention Jeremy at the Ruckus Taco Company, and I just wanted to call him out for being the fan of the month because he's so dedicated to our show. So thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy. We appreciate that. What's the name of the place again?
Ruckus Taco Company. It's a great place near me, and I want some smash burgers or tacos or burritos and some awesome vintage video games and pinball machines too. So it's a really fun place to check out.
Well, that does sound good, dude. Yeah.
Brought to you by Ruckus Taco.
No, I was about to say, yeah, they're not sponsoring this video and stuff. So
yeah, right.
That's great. Thank you, Jeremy, man. We appreciate that. We appreciate all of our fans. So continue to join the conversation. I love that phrase. So about a month ago, Vinegar Syndrome released a 4K version of Michael Mann's The Keep. Now, we're not going to do a review, but we are going to discuss some finer details. So if you don't know about The Keep, it's a, correct me if I'm wrong, 1983. Thank you. Movie. It's, I think, Michael Mann's second feature film. His first is Thief, and before that it's television. And boy, what a project to take on. It's a supernatural thriller horror. Yeah. Weird, eh? But it doesn't have, well, spoiler alert, in my opinion, it does not have horror elements. I guess it kind of does, but it's missing what most would consider the horror,
the
blood,
scary parts.
Yeah, things like that.
It's more of the horror look of things,
yes.
of some of the aftermath. Yeah.
It's a period piece. It takes place in World War II era. The best thing about it, though, folks, is it's got a pretty stacked cast that have gone on to have great careers. So, and we'll get to talking about them. But it has achieved a strong cult status over the years, and people have been just, I don't understand it, but myself included, clamoring to have a proper release. And I think this is it. This is really going to be it. I don't think we're going to get a better one than this. So
no, this is it.
I think this is it. So for all those people out there that, if you are part of that cult status, if you haven't already picked it up, get it. I don't know if you can still get it. I don't know if it's being offered anymore.
Maybe the base model, the edition, just the straight up disc. Got it. The deluxe box set, I think, is sold out.
Yeah, show them that, Bob. You got that right in front of you.
It would be that's the limited edition box set.
Yeah.
Of The Keep, and it has a little booklet, slipcase, and 4K and Blu-ray with bonus features. For those that are not real familiar, let me just quickly read a synopsis of the movie. So if you haven't seen it, at least you might get an idea what it's about. This is from Letterboxd. It's set during World War II. A German army garrison is sent to guard a mountain pass in a village in Romania's Carpathian Mountains and sets up barracks in an ancient stone fortress. Two of the soldiers unwittingly release a mysterious entity that kills or corrupts those within its influence, drawing the attention of a Gestapo commander, a Jewish scholar, and a mysterious traveler. That's enough to get you a little excited, right? Oh, wow, there's some cool stuff going on. Right. Well, where did it go wrong, I guess?
And first of all, I want to preface this. I love the movie. I really have. I've been me and my wife always use the term, gatekeeping and stuff. Like, I've gatekeeped this movie for a long time.
What do you love about it?
Well, the problem was too is it was not available for the longest time. So I saw it when it first came out. I saw it. I'd never got it like a VHS release, as far as I know. It did have one, but
Did you know about it before it came out? Like you have the book. Did you read it? Did you read it before or after?
No, that was I discovered that at the same time because I was like, oh, that's cool. Let me go find this out and stuff. And then for the most part too, we could talk about little idiosyncrasies, but there's not a lot of differences. I mean, Michael Mann did a good job, but the movie version is just faster paced. It's just the character development has gone out the window, so to speak.
It started as what he had it at like a 3-hour rough cut, I believe.
Yeah,
and got it down to 2 hours, and then the studio got it down to an hour and a half. So
because the studio saw them dailies, and they were like, "This is not a horror movie. Like, where's all the death and stuff?" And to be honest, the book has a buildup. Like, so there's an entity called Molasar, and we'll talk about him in a minute. But once he's released or he's getting out, like there are murders and deaths more than are in the Mann version, and they all have their throats torn out. So in the book, so the two guys, the one that gets there's one of the guys that frees him. He gets his whole body lopped off, I guess. And the dude pulls him out. He's got like half a body, but they unwittingly free this supernatural being. But the supernatural being does kill these other soldiers, and because
Nazis,
because their throats are ripped out, there's this sense of that's the horror of the novel. You know what I mean?
And it's implied that it was like, well, I keep hearing a vampire, but it's not really though, right?
Well, no, it's kind of like a psychic vampire, but that they actually, I forget the girl's name, Magda, who's in there. They actually, in the novel, they discuss the lore of where they're at and the backstories of where the stories come from, and because they do talk about vampire, and then the Germans even mention it too. So there's a lot of that fear that that's what it is, but of course, them being smart people, they're like, it can't be that, it's just some partisans.
Right. But they're in the
it's
Carpathian Mountains.
It's not set.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Dracula literally lives around the corner right over there.
You want a vampire? He's over there.
Yeah, he's over there. You got the wrong one over here and stuff. But it is. I mean, it does build up that way, and then it does not pan out that way. But they do talk about that because here we are and stuff. So, and disclaimer too, folks. There's a lot of even in the novel and the movie, there's the Nazis and Jewish people, and so there's a lot of uncomfortable moments or discussions, so be prepared for that.
Right. Well, one of the things,
World War II Nazi occupation, right? Yeah. So
Well, the movie kind of explores that the baseline conflict, and then there's the conflict of the religion.
Yeah,
whether or not you're Jewish or whatever. I'm going to call him a rabbi, but he was more like an Orthodox priest.
Right. He's got the line in the movie. Yeah, Robert Prosky, which I love that guy, dude.
I want to talk about him too.
Yeah, we're fans.
A good year
of Robert
for him.
Prosky. Yeah, he was in Christine, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was the garage guy. So I love him I love him as the judge in The Natural. That's my favorite Prosky role.
Shut your pie hole. Yeah. Oh, The Natural, great movie, good name drop. He's got a line in the movie that's uncomfortable where he talks about Ian McKellen's character being able to probably help them out with the language that's being written on the walls and stuff like that by Molasar and all the runes and stuff. And one of the Germans says, well, where's he at? And Prosky says, he's wherever you put all the Jewish people. Yeah. So it's implied that he's in one of the camps and stuff, but they don't show anything like that. They just kind of, next you know, Ian McKellen shows up. So
because it's been cut down to an hour and a half.
We don't know what Mann filmed, and
they show him in the camp. So they
briefly they do. Yeah, you're right.
And one cut later, they're
at the place.
In the keep.
So I can't imagine. And Mann doesn't ever, folks, you got to know this too. He doesn't ever talk about this movie. He's almost disowned it. And it's too bad because his producer on it, even in the behind the scenes features, he would love for Michael Mann to come back to it.
Yeah.
And do some stuff, or re-edit it or, whatever.
I think the ship has sailed. I think it just went, it sounds like it just went so bad that it was like, it ended up something that he wasn't wanting to represent him, I bet. It's all speculation, but.
Right. And I guess if you look at it, that's his sophomore effort, and to have a bad experience because, he loved Thief, everything about that.
I know. What a swing to go for your sophomore film to go into this mystical fantasy.
That's like Ridley Scott territory. Like Ridley Scott will do that. He'll pivot one way or the next. But Michael Mann has pretty much stayed in his lane his entire career. And I think with The Keep, because it was so horrible, that's because after that, isn't it Manhunter? He goes right into Manhunter.
Yeah, right.
So he's like, I better get back in my lane again because The Keep just wasn't having it.
I mean, kudos for him for trying all that. So
yeah.
And the films of that era are where fantasy wasn't, an unsellable product.
Right.
There were all kinds of films like that. I was shocked today to find out that they had a game based on it.
On The Keep?
On The Keep. There's a board game.
You sent me that picture. Oh my God. Yeah. Dude, that's what I should have pulled out. I should have pulled out that module from that.
And then there was an RPG.
Yeah, separate. An RPG. And it is, it's tough. I mean, I read it and I was like, I will never play this. So,
well, that must have all came out way once a cult following is established, right? Because
the board game had to have come out right.
It's
really?
Like it's like when the movie came out.
Wow,
the module for the role playing stuff was a few years later, but it's like, it does stick to it, and you do have him as a adversary, but it's it bounces around time a little bit. So. What do you say, Bob?
I couldn't imagine action figures for The Keep.
No, they'd fall over because Mullen starts too heavy.
Tiny ankles, right?
He's got those ankles that break. I do want to say this that I really, really enjoy about the movie. They don't. It could be confusing in the book. It's dealt with a lot better, but and I get his name wrong all the time because Jim will correct me on it. But Jurgen Jurgen's right. Jurgen Prochnow. Yeah. He is not part of the Nazi party. He is in the German soldier.
Those were the guys that were conscripted. Those guys in the SS are two different things.
Yeah. Right. And there is an SS character in there played wonderfully by Gabriel Byrne very early on in his career. But they have a history that's not explored in the movie. It's in the novel. It's explored because he just hates, Prochnow's character hates everything he stands for. He's like, this is not how you win a war. You don't go around doing this stuff. So you can get a sense of that in the Man movie, which I really enjoyed. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, they're confrontational to each other.
And Prochnow's character is more down to earth. The first scene of Gabriel Byrne showing up, he shoots a lot of people, and Prochnow's like, this is not how you... It's just two different horrific sides of fight that's going on internally. And he's like, this is not how you'll catch this killer,
Right. Prochnow's leader of the garrison, and he calls for help because something is killing his men. That's the big tagline. Yeah.
And the reason all this starts is because, the soldiers are enamored by all the silver cross.
Yeah, let's describe The Keep itself.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim. Why don't you...
Stylistically, it's really cool. It's like this black rock, and it's on all these kind of angles, and embedded within the wall is what looks like these silver crosses.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
And they're everywhere.
There's too many to count according to the novel. But the thing about The Keep is really cool. Like, it's built into that mountain face.
Yes, it's built into the face of a mountain.
There's a gorge down below or something. So
that whole set design of the village and the keep has a great sense of place. They built that in a rock quarry, I guess, and it just really looks great. And Mann films it really well. Yeah,
visually, I think the movie with set pieces and small village and things and the keep itself, like all that looks really good. Excuse me. Pumping the mist or not mist, but like fog,
blue light and the fog.
Yeah, like all that looks really good. So I thought, well, this is going to be something.
Yeah, Mann really brings his kind of trademark, visual style to that.
He does. There is a redeeming factor, by the way, for the movie, folks. If you guys don't know, early on, a lot of movies, if you wanted to have a certain gravitas to it, there was a certain music that was a certain band that was given over to movies.
Right.
Tangerine Dream.
Tangerine Dream, yeah. So that whole moody synthesizer, organ-led type gothic-y music that they can produce for a lot of stuff really, I felt, worked well with this movie. There's a lot of operatic pieces too.
If you're not familiar with Tangerine Dream, you may have heard them in other movies. Michael Mann's Thief, as Mark said, William Friedkin's Sorcerer, a little earlier than this, and then Risky Business, Firestarter, and Legend, which I love the Legend soundtrack. I just probably because we heard it in the theater when we all worked there. I know that one pretty over. I know that one pretty well. And then when I was listening to it on YouTube today, and I was like, oh my god, I remember all this Tangerine Dream Legend music, and that's coming to a theater near us this spring. So
oh wow, well we're gonna go have to see that stuff.
Just to sum up the music, it gives the movie kind of a dream-like feel as you watch it, because it's not really time period music. It's like different.
It's not correct time period film. Right. It's very like you said. It's ethereal between that and the visuals. The film does have kind of a dreamlike quality.
Right.
So you end up watching it and you're like, what did I dream that? What did I see? It's like,
that was what it was like when I finally saw it. I saw it like at 1 a.m. on TV or something.
Yeah, way back in the day, if you were lucky, you caught a rare showing of it somewhere.
Between nodding off and waking up, and I was like, "What am I? What?" So
that's funny. Like 20 years later, it felt like, or not really, but about 10 years later, I moved to Florida and it did that. I caught it late one night. I was like, "Oh man, I'm going to watch this again." And it already had been enough years that I was like, "Okay." Like when I got done with it, I was like, all right, I seem to be more hyped when it first came out. And then, but then it went away forever. And I didn't seek out scenes. I didn't watch anything on YouTube or whatever. I was just like, I'm just let all that go. And then when I watched it, I wanted to watch it kind of fresh when this came out. And I do appreciate it a lot more now. I'm not harsh on it anymore. Not like, holy cow, that is bad, but it's somebody's sophomore effort. And once you know everything about it, and that the studio came in and said, this is for the teenage crowd. Where's the monster? We got to get some blood and gut. Like it wasn't like that, If he had released that thing after, I think, Manhunter, I think the studio would have backed off a little bit, because I think what he tried to do with The Keep, this is just a guess, he succeeded with Manhunter, the way he was visually, different styles, the camera movement, the use of music, like that all came together with that movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
This one just, I don't know. Like we were talking about that, folks, before we even came on the air. Like for Michael Mann for his sophomore effort to choose this, it's one of those super giant question marks.
I mean, you guys know Manhunter's on my top 5 list or whatever.
Is it?
That's one of my favorites. I love Manhunter, and so going into seeing,
I never heard that. Have you ever heard him say that, Jim?
I know.
Have you ever talked about Manhunter before? I never have.
And if you want to revisit some of our Michael Mann discussion, go back to our Michael Mann retrospective. We have 2 episodes on that in our back catalog. But as far as the look and sound and all that, there is a scene in The Keep that it was like, I see where he got this from, and what happened in Manhunter, where it came from is when Scott Glenn, who is our traveler that we'll discuss here in a moment, he's getting on the boat after he gets awakened by the keep being disturbed. He gets on like a ship or a boat and kind of goes off into the sunset, and there's like this orange sky, and it's like with that music, and I'm like, there it is. That's Michael Mann right there. I mean, that's where it's coming from when you see it later in Manhunter and other movies. Where it's like the combination of visual and music.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It just you get little nuggets of where he developed his style,
perfect,
where he's going.
Little nuggets of like
this
that shot is great, and then it's like, okay, but then you get 14 standard stuff. You know what I mean? Where you're like, okay. So I guess we should assume though that because he was still developing his style.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, maybe we could speculate the keep was a playground for that. You know, he wanted to do some of that stuff that would be refined later on and stuff. Yeah. By the way, folks, it's like Bob said earlier, there's a 3-hour cut somewhere that's never going to see the light of day. Not in my lifetime, it won't.
And that's because it's a work print.
Yeah. But there's
those are you assemble all the footage you filmed and then you look at it to see what you can make from it.
But it also makes for a tough watch because Bob mentioned Scott Glenn's character, who he just suddenly wakes up, like you get nothing. He wakes up, he packs a bag, he's out, he's on the river, he's got to travel the Mediterranean to get where he's going. Which, by the way, it's like 2,000 miles in that little ass boat of his. Like that's from the novel, folks. But
during World War II,
yeah. Well, they explained that he packed a bag, which I thought visually they should have shown this. He had a box full of varying currencies of the time. You know, that he was like, if I have to, he had American gold pieces, he had Russian rubles, he had all this stuff for travel. Like he was just this guy, and he settled in this village, you know, where he was. Like, I'm like, that's a cool backstory, but
it's nice not to know everything about him, right? Jim, you're going to say the mystery, right?
Yeah.
But
give us something.
There's too much mystery.
Yeah, it's too much with him. Yeah.
And so we were talking about the keep. Don't forget, we got to just finish up the actual keep, and then what the disturbance and all that is, and what causes our conflict.
Well, those crosses. Go back to your crosses, because the crosses are there to supposedly protect. They're internal. They're all internal. So they're built in there. As you would find out later what they're for, so to speak. Sorry, Jim. Go ahead.
Listen, and Jurgen Prochnow, he's like this. This place wasn't built to keep people out; it was built to keep something in. Right.
Right.
They make that.
There's your rub. Yeah.
Right. And there are keepers of the keep that before the Germans get there, there's like a guy and his 2 sons, and that's their job. They get mysteriously paid to take care of the building.
Right.
And they warn them. They were like, "Don't steal the crosses. They're not silver. Don't steal them."
Well, he said they weren't gold, I think, at first, because everybody was like, "Oh, there's got to be this huge." Because they talk about like, what is this place? There's got to be this hidden treasure.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if they mentioned in the movie. They talk about like the Pope's treasure, like religiously, like look at all these crosses. There's got to be something hidden here and stuff. And that's when them dudes figure out, well, if it's not gold, maybe it's silver.
Right.
Maybe
this
silver.
is the German version of Kelly's Heroes, and they're going to rob the bank and steal all the crosses.
Yeah.
So,
and how did that go, German officer number 1?
And of course, it all goes to hell, right?
Yeah.
So,
they pull out a big brick, and
2 buddies do that. They start digging stuff out, and it ends horrifically badly for the 2 of them. So,
this movie's been kind of called the Raiders of the Lost Ark from the Nazi perspective.
Yeah,
I've heard that many times, and that's where we start to see like what they're experiencing with this entity that they unleash. Right, that's kind of the beginning of all the trouble.
It's a lot of wind at the beginning, and then it becomes, our Molisar character becomes a smoke entity,
right? Which that looks great. That's probably one of the better looking things.
Looks really cool
with the eyes.
And he has like a circulatory system floating within him.
Yeah.
And then as he's dispatching victims, he takes on a more corporeal form. And then the best he looks is when he's all muscles, like he has no skin, but it's all muscle tissue.
Yeah.
And he's got big glowing red eyes, and his mouth glows red.
Yeah. Well, we talked about the thing about the vampire thing is that even the author, even the behind the scenes stuff, they talk about how it seems like this vampire stuff came out and he was like against it, but yet it's literally talked about in the novel. So I'm confused at his ambiguity about
he didn't quite want to go down that road.
He didn't want to go down that road, but when you don't have something that does something, so the creature steals the life essence, pretty much like a vampire would drain blood. and that's how it starts to get more of a body shape,
Mm-hmm.
But it also kills indiscriminately too, and you don't see a lot of those kills in the book. So when it rips a throat, or I'm sorry, in the movie, when it rips a throat out, it's just killing, and it writes in blood on the walls, leave my keep or whatever, something
Right.
like that, leave my home or what, crap like that.
But before we get into what happens next, you're talking about special effects. We should probably mention the major problem that occurred, unfortunately, in post-production, right?
There's an effects team that works on Molasar, our villain, and they're consistent. The guy who had that up, his name was Nick Malley,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got a real long, distinguished career. He was part of the team that brought Yoda to life.
Star Wars,
He did Life Force, he did Crawl, so he knows what he's doing, right? But apparently, Mann kept tinkering with all that stuff, tinkering with the design of Molasar as he moved along. Like by the time we get to Molasar with skin, he's Michael Mann. Oh, he needs to look black, or he's trying to paint the whole thing black, and he almost has an armor to him if you look at it, like he's skin and armor. Yeah. And when he fights Scott Glenn in the big confrontation, Scott Glenn kind of transforms, and he has these neck muscles so that he appears like Molasar, like they're the same.
Well, they're two sides of a coin, kind of. Right?
Cosmic race, whatever they belong to.
Right.
And they said in that documentary, they were like, yeah, at the night before, he goes, yeah, we need to make Scott Glenn up to look like this. And they're like, what? And so they pulled that out of their ass. So kudos to them. But the effects guy, the Wally Vevers that we spoke of earlier, he had passed away. And I still don't buy that nobody had any clue what he had planned to do.
I don't understand. No drawings, no anything.
Right. Yeah, no assistant that he's working with. The guy didn't do all the work by himself,
Because they filmed a bunch of stuff. There's, and you can watch the TV edit cut on YouTube of the ending, and it has Glaken and Molasar swirling around in black emptiness, which I'm sure would then be a composite piece of film to be stars or a galaxy or something that they're falling through. I don't know, but
it sounds like his death was kind of
that's
the
a big
guy
hiccup,
of all this.
Right? Yeah, they made it the fall. They made him the scapegoat.
Poor guy.
Yeah,
yeah, really.
He deserved a little better than that, but that is also obviously a big thing,
right?
Because he's one of the last pieces of the puzzle to finish your film,
right?
And then they went back and they asked for more money, and at that point, Paramount was like, "Yeah, I don't think so. It's not going to happen." It's like, we'll just wrap it up.
Yeah, I don't think so. Just get what you got. Let's go.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up so we can go home and stuff. Well, the movie it does jump.
Let's go back to your writing on the wall and then what happened.
It follows a narrative, you know what I mean? And, they unleash the creature. And the one thing about, I was remarking to me and my wife, like Ian McKellen, I've never known him young.
It's
Ian
funny.
McKellen
is so weird.
Yeah. You only know him. He's either in old makeup or he's just been his old age with all his great roles. So he's playing an old man in this movie, confined to wheelchairs, but he's got a disease. So it ages him and stuff. So there is a moment when I don't want to get into too much because it sounds too long, but like Molasar actually comes to him and hollers at him because he saves Ian McKellen's daughter from
an attack.
Right.
And they have a conversation, and Molasar thinks he's part of the German. He's like, don't ever accuse me of that and stuff. And he gives him some of his life force. So it makes him young again. It takes away the arthritis, the disease. And I'm like, it's funny because that was done today. They would just de-age a character or whatever, but they actually just took all the makeup off Ian McKellen. So he's in real life, I think he was like 5 years older than his daughter's actress, and stuff. So it's like, okay, but it really doesn't do much. Molasar just kind of hangs out. He doesn't really do anything. Like
they don't go. The goal is to leave.
He wants to leave, and you can tell he's got to kind of have McKellen working with him. But you also have the German guys, and like I don't buy that they wouldn't. No offense, folks, but I don't buy that they wouldn't like just torture everybody to find out what's going on, and somebody's going to give it up. You know what I mean? So
sure,
but I don't know. They just there's a lot of which looks like jump cuts. Like suddenly it's this, and then suddenly it's that. And there's not that tension buildup that you would normally have within a movie, and that could be part of that 3 hour missing.
Well, Ian McKellen's brought in. You mentioned the writing on the wall that the Nazis see, and they want to know what this means, and they threaten the town
Right.
people, village
Right.
people, and village people, the
People of the village.
And then they. So that's how he gets brought into the keep with his daughter.
Yeah.
He's a doctor, like a
Professor of
anthropologist or
old
professor,
stuff,
right,
of old lore,
Then all this happens, and then he's
basically brought in because of all the writing in the runes.
right.
He translates all of it, and it's basically get out of my keep. Like, don't be here, and lore about what the ancient evil and stuff like that. But they're just like impossible, and Burn
is like these are people from the
these are people from the village. Just fucking you. And the thing that kills me is like, why do we need this guy in the wheelchair? Like, it's hard that they leave him there to do all this stuff when he just tells them everything. It says this and all that and everything, and they're like, okay. Like, he literally wraps up what he's there for in the first 10 minutes that he's there. Right. Yeah. So it's just weird when Molasar comes out and is like, I'll make a deal with you, or whatever. Right. Like, the dude can wipe out everybody by himself.
Right. And Molasar obviously is longing to get out into the world to cause havoc and to do whatever, right? To cause
and that's one of those weird edits because they have all these conversations about weird stuff, and suddenly McKellen's down in that. First of all, I don't know how he got down there. Like, sorry, folks, that stone that gets pulled out by the two officers, it gives you the impression that it reveals there's a deep cavernous area within the keep. You can't tell in the movie because I don't know if there's stairs or whatever. I'm sure there are, and I can't remember in the book. But suddenly McKellen is down in there.
Yeah,
and Molasar he's literally like this, hiding behind a stone. Like, go back and watch that part. He's just like, take it out of the keep. And McKellen pulls up a stone. He must have been like stone number 14 to your left. A little bit more. Move over. No, that's too far. Back up. Yeah, to your other left. Like, literally, he opens it up, and then there's this piece that looks like the cross, that shape that's in the walls. And Molasar's like, you got to take that out, and I can go kill these Nazis for you.
He thinks he can use them against the Nazis.
Yes. But then he kind of drops little hints in there about other stuff, So I don't know. But I guess through those cuts, and I don't even want to talk about when Scott Glenn shows up in the village, how nobody knows that. Like, how does he get a room and, like, they don't tell the Nazis or anything? He just shows up in the village. He's cool with it. They
kind of know him.
Yeah, they're like, all right, whatever. And then Magda, McKellen's daughter.
Oh, yeah. Eva,
yeah. So they're like, all right, well, go to the village. Get a hotel room. Oh, my God.
Go to the inn.
Yeah, go to the inn. And she goes there and runs into Scott Glenn. And 2 seconds of who are you? Why are you here? He doesn't even, it's not even the dialogue.
And the love affair begins.
Yeah, dude. And literally the next scene, they're sleeping together. There's just no...
Yeah, it's very
like it is really
quick.
Yeah,
it's super abrupt.
Yeah, they don't have that build up and stuff, but I guess he does go down to the keep. Glenn does, and that's when they harass him because they're like, do this, do that, and
he explains a little bit to her about what he is or who he is.
Yeah. Well, I'm here for this. Yeah, but it's still all. Right. She's going to be pissed. She's be like, you sound like my father. Like, you're vague as fuck. Like, you're both.
Yeah. Right, it's super vague, and there's a thing with mirrors on the wall too, right?
What's that?
He doesn't have a reflection.
Oh, that I don't know about. I didn't look at that. I didn't see that.
He doesn't have a reflection in mirrors, and if you watch the vampire, if you watch the TV edit cut, or at the very end, the YouTube footage.
Yeah.
So where she just kind of leaves at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
This one, she leaves, and then she runs back in the keep, and then she goes down the million stairs.
How does she get down there too? Yeah,
I don't know.
Crawl through the hole as well.
And she finds him
down there. Yeah,
right after they've had this aerial battle. She finds him, and she kind of lifts him up, and he can see his reflection in the pool of water that's down there. So he's now man. I guess.
Mortal.
He's mortal.
Jim, your look was priceless there. Yeah. And he comes with, obviously you're like, oh, he's going to be the adversary, or he's your protagonist.
Our hero.
The Nazis get a hold of him, dude. They try to take he's got a funny stick. He's got that Wonder Boy stick inside his little case.
Right.
That he brings,
Yeah, that he brings. There's my natural reference. And they try to take it from him, and he's like, no. And he throws some dude with superhuman strength into the gorge, like right in front of everybody else. And they shoot him to death.
And he falls off.
And it's all green. And they're like, bye-bye. And even that's choppy. So it's like, oh, we just lost our protagonist.
And throughout, they're kind of doing things with his eyes to kind of show that he's has power.
He does tell Ava to leave, though. He's like, you should leave. This is not for you. What's about to go down, it's not for you and stuff. The only thing I do like, it's really cool that Ian McKellen's character, he's trying to take that funny looking cross out. And then the daughter, she seems to come to grips that this is not right. Something's wrong. She's the voice of reason. Yeah.
Right.
She's the voice of reason. She's like, no, don't do this. It's not right. And then McKellen raises up like he's going to hit her.
Now, Molisar says, kill your daughter.
Yeah. He's like, kill her, and he's like, finally snaps out of it. Who are you? I must kill my own flesh. You take it out of here. It's a cool dialogue. You can seriously see where Ian McKellen is. This guy's going somewhere.
He's bringing his stage presence to the
school. He is. That is such a great scene.
Oh my god, very big, and it needs to be.
It's like, oh my god, stuff.
A 9 foot tall guy or whatever he is.
It's an interesting theme with his character, because he's obviously doing things for the betterment of himself and for the Jewish people that he thinks he can help with Molisar taking care of the Nazi occupation. But it's also releasing something worse than the Nazis. So it's almost like the atomic bomb kind of thing, where it's like you're releasing something even worse than what's going on.
Molisar is feeding off of the aura of war. And he starts to infect, like the town goes bananas. Everybody starts killing each other. It starts leaching out of the keep, and
I don't know if they show that a lot in the movie. Did they show all that?
I didn't catch a lot of that.
They like Robert Prosky kills his dog.
Yeah, I know.
And you got to look really hard for that.
And you're right, though. You're right. In the novel, it's like that. He's got that infectious, where it's like Kingsman. Like, I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie. Like, it's gonna everybody in the world is just gonna go apeshit because he's the ultimate evil released upon the world. So.
As far as themes, though, would you say, like, Michael Mann's theme, a lot of his theme in other movies are the hunter's relationship with the prey kind of deal, where the hunter has to learn what the prey is about and become almost like the prey to overcome them. Yeah. So like a Will Graham in Manhunter has to kind of go over that psychological edge to learn about Dollarhide. Is there anything that you can compare that to in this movie? Would you say?
I don't think so. I think Ian McKellen's character probably comes the closest, because he's got that. Why am I doing this? And he's got that struggle. And if I do this, I'm no different than Molisar. So that's where that comes in. But you definitely can't say that about Scott Glenn's character. Like,
the Ian McKellen character is the only one that has an arc at all.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And then basically, when he's about to kill the old man, he takes his powers away. Excuse me, that's not right. He takes what life force he gave him. He takes that back.
He takes it back.
So he's all, oh, I'm old Ian McKellen again. And then Scott Glenn shows up, like literally at the end, and like Molisar looks up and he's like, "You," and then they have that really bad special effects battle.
So he takes the tube that he's been carrying around and he attaches the tube, cross to the end of it, and then
the thing that Ian McKellen was carrying,
and
the artifact,
And in the book, it's a sword hilt, correct?
Yeah.
So
it goes on. Yeah, but this is a weird laser. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like,
there's like some laser light show, and it all shoots out and kind of drives him back into his cube.
There's this weird edit where there's no talking anymore, but it's right before Ian McKellen goes and gets that cross thingy. All of a sudden, Prochnow and Byrne have this final confrontation.
They've been
at each other's throats. And Prochnow is basically like, kiss my ass. Fuck you. I'm getting out of here. So, of course, what does Byrne do? He shoots Prochnow in the back. Okay. And then it cuts. And there's this weird menagerie. I don't even know what you call it, dude. There's no sound. It just shows the scene. Byrne just goes outside. He picks up a cross, an actual cross that Prochnow had, and he just walks outside.
That's the main chamber.
No, I thought that was outside then.
No, that's the main chamber.
All right. Well, whatever it is, dude, you got to admit, all the Nazis are piled up on this,
fused into they're gone.
Everything. They're just gone. I don't even know if we hear screaming in the background. Like, I don't know. They're just all dead. They're wiped out. It's this origami of Nazis.
Yeah, it looks like Pompeii or something.
And their machines are twisted around them, and they're all burnt.
So Molisar has clearly now come into his own.
Right.
And this is, I think, when we see what I refer to as he skipped leg day scene.
Yeah.
And he runs into Byrne, who Byrne really doesn't, his character doesn't believe the cross, but when he runs into it, he's all, Jesus, save me. And he tries to put the cross in his face. It just doesn't work.
No, he kind of laughs at him and snaps him in half.
Byrne gets that line where he's like, what are you? And he's like, I am you. And basically picks the guy up, sucks all the life out of him like a vampire, and just dumps the body.
He looks into the Ark of the Covenant, and he's done.
Yeah, that's what it was. And that's it. And your bad guys are all gone.
Speaking of Ark of the Covenant, did you notice the one actor from Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yeah, the one who gets shriveled up. Yes.
Wolf Kaler, I guess is his name.
Yeah.
It's the guys like in Raiders. Yeah. I'm like, hey, that's the guy from Raiders. I was doing the DiCaprio thing. So,
but it just ends, folks. It's just this, it just ends.
Right.
And luckily years later, if you got a TV version, like Jim had mentioned, like you just said, Jim, Ava goes down to where Glaken, I don't even think we said the name. Scott Glenn's character's name is Glaken. He's got a different name in the book too. It becomes Glaken, but he goes by a different name at first. And she goes down, rescues him, and helps him up and stuff. Still don't see Ian McKellen though, even in that TV version. We don't know if he died or not. We have no idea what happened to him. And at the end, they're just hugging. So, like, do we assume that they just go on? By the way, folks, years later, F. Paul Wilson, the novelist, he wrote like 5 or 6 other novels, and he named them the Adversary Cycle, which is the prequel. All the other ones take place in modern times. So,
how would you recommend this movie, or how many stars or crates would you give it out of 5?
I was hoping we wouldn't even do that for this one.
And then how would you recommend this? Because it's such an odd movie. I don't know if modern moviegoers nowadays, how they would look at it.
What was that movie that we were talking about? It was Nosferatu, where it was so polarizing, like, online, where it was like you either hated it or you loved it. And if you hated it and the love people got a hold of you, you were vilified. That's exactly what this thing is too. Like, there are people out there like me that I think I'm from the cult status. So I look at it from that. I look at it from the achievement that he did, from the time, the era, things like that, and I look at what he went on to. So that's my perspective. I don't want to look at it as filmmaking or, editing. But
you're a
and
man,
stuff like
you're a
that.
man fan.
I'm a man fan.
Sci-fi fan.
And
fantasy fan.
And I like it because it checks all those boxes, and the fact that Michael Mann did it and he used Tangerine Dream. There's a lot that comes together for me. So I would recommend it to somebody to say, here's the boxes that I'm going to check. If you're like those, then go check it out, and then make your own decision, because even if you check those out, there are some people who be like, whew, it's a slog too. It's not exactly fast paced.
Yeah. Because of the choppiness of it, it's not an easy watch, I guess.
Starts out real solid, and then it kind of, after about a half an hour, it starts kind of wandering.
Well, you get that first death and you're like, oh, okay. All right. But then after that, you're like, what does it say on the wall? Like, you're
just a lot of disjointed things happening.
Right. So I was calling it like an imperfectly perfect movie. I like it.
That is a great phrase.
I like it because of its flaws. and all the things that, all the weird minutia that surrounds it. I mean, that that somewhere there's a better film, but you're living with the one that you've got. I would say that someone, if you like things like Hellboy, this is a movie that might interest you, because I could see Hellboy rolling up in this movie to take care of the thing inside the keep.
Yeah,
it had a little bit of Alien going for it.
Yeah,
in a claustrophobic environment with people getting picked off.
Yeah.
So if you like that, you may like it a little bit. Trying to sell it, people.
I know, folks. Can you tell we're reaching? Like, maybe we should just say how horrible it is and just move on from that. But I refuse to write it off completely, because I do enjoy it in some weird aspect of it. I do it now. Does that mean that like some October night I'm going to probably put it in and watch it again? Absolutely not. It's just, I can watch this on some Saturday afternoon and be okay with it. It's not atmospheric enough to give me the heebie-jeebies of a true horror movie. It's not like that. If anything, the movie moves into thriller territory, supernatural thriller. That's the genre I put it in. I don't know if I could do a crate for this either, man. I just, because the way I'm talking, my crates are going to be way skewed. I don't know, fellas. Somebody else do a crate then. Let's see where it starts.
It's lower than 3 and more than 2, I guess, is where I'm at. It's just somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I would have a hard stretch to get it up to 3.
Simon's like in that 2.5.
I give it a 3 easy.
Give it a 3. Jim, see, that's. I mean, man,
because it has a creature in it, and I like creatures.
You are,
so.
And you know what? I gotta give it a 3 too, because of this. Like, I'm a source material guy with all the stuff we talk about. So I'll go and read a source material, and it makes me appreciate a movie better. Don't ask me why. It should be the opposite. The novel's always
really
better.
Screwed it up,
folks. Not really, but like, I get it. But if it's got what you think is happening, you know what I mean. And I always cite Jaws, because Jaws novel is not better than the movie.
Well, we're gonna get to that one, right?
This is the
50th anniversary. Yeah, so
we'll get to that. So we're all in that same range of 2.5. You guys are 3. I'm about 2.5. But
it's a cult movie that we like as fanboys of Michael Mann, and it's an 80s artifact from our childhood. So
yeah, I gotta say this though: if Michael Mann, we don't know what it'd be like, but if Michael Mann's name wasn't attached to this thing, I just don't know how I'd feel about it.
Oh, see, that's like that's an aspect of it.
So it's like that guy, like you just have to look at his career and go, that's a weird one. And it lends that curiosity, credibility to it, that people are going to want to go, let me go check that out. So there it is.
Well, there you have it. If you get a chance to get it on 4K, I know it's streaming on, there's some rentals. You can rent it on streaming.
Bob's like, there you have it.
Check it out.
That's awesome.
And check it out and let us know what you guys, if anyone has seen it, please comment. Let us know what you think, what you thought. That's it for this show, I guess. We covered all we could cover, and there's a lot on the cutting room floor that is kind of like the movie, I guess. All right. Well, join us next time on the Fandom Outpost. Check us out, like I said, on social media, Instagram, Facebook, the Fandom Outpost podcast. And next time we'll see what we bring you. We're still cooking up ideas. We'll see. Coming up this spring, we'll have some fun stuff. So with that, I'll leave you. I'm Bob.
I'm Jim.
And I'm Mark.
See you next time on the Fandom Outpost. Thanks, folks, for watching.
Bye.
Bye, guys.